It was a bright, sunny afternoon. The birds were singing, their melodies creating a symphony that filled the air with a sense of peace and tranquility. The sky was a clear, brilliant blue, with only a few fluffy clouds lazily drifting by. The warmth of the sun was comforting, like a gentle embrace from nature itself, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves, making them dance and shimmer in the sunlight. The sound was soothing, like a soft whisper that added to the serene atmosphere of the park. The leaves, in various shades of green, seemed to be waving hello as I walked by. I decided to take a walk in the park, feeling the need to connect with nature and clear my mind. The pathway was inviting, lined with tall trees that provided a canopy of shade. The park was alive with the sounds of laughter and chatter from families and friends enjoying their day. I wanted some fresh air, to breathe in the crisp, clean scent of the outdoors. Each breath felt rejuvenating, filling my lungs with a sense of calm and clarity. The simple act of walking and breathing deeply was a reminder of the beauty and simplicity of life. As I strolled along the path, something caught my eye. It was a small, unassuming shape on the ground, partially hidden by the shadows of the trees. My curiosity was piqued, and I felt a sudden urge to investigate. It was a small brown lump huddled beneath a tree. At first it was hard to make out what it was, but as I got closer, the shape became clearer. It was a tiny, fragile creature, seemingly out of place in the vast expanse of the park. Curiosity got the better of me. I walked towards it, my steps slow and cautious. The closer I got, the more I could see that it was indeed a living being, and my heart began to race with concern and anticipation. Getting closer, I realized it was a puppy. A tiny, helpless puppy, all alone in the park. His fur was matted and dirty, and he looked so vulnerable lying there. My heart ached at the sight of him. He was incredibly tiny and very still. For a moment I feared the worst. His small body was motionless, and I couldn't tell if he was even breathing. The sight of such a fragile creature in distress was almost too much to bear. My heart skipped a beat. The thought of this little puppy being abandoned and alone was heartbreaking. I felt a surge of emotions, sadness, anger, and a strong desire to help. What was a puppy doing all alone? The park was a place of joy and laughter, yet here was this tiny creature, seemingly forgotten and neglected. It was a stark contrast to the beauty and happiness that surrounded us. I cautiously approached, worried I might scare him. I didn't want to add to his distress. My movements were slow and deliberate, trying to convey a sense of safety and comfort. As I leaned down, the full extent of his condition hit me. He was not just alone, he was in desperate need of help. His tiny body was frail, and he looked like he hadn't eaten in days. He was covered in ticks. The sight was horrifying. These parasites were draining the life out of him, and he was too weak to do anything about it. I knew I had to act quickly if there was any hope of saving him. The sight of the tiny puppy, alone and shivering on the cold, hard pavement, was a heartbreaking sight. His small frame trembled with fear and cold, and it was clear that he had been abandoned for some time. The streets were no place for such a fragile creature. His fur crawling with ticks filled me with horror. The parasites had taken over his tiny body, and it was evident that he had been suffering for a long time. The sight of those ticks, burrowed deep into his skin, made my stomach churn. His eyes were dull and lifeless, a stark contrast to the bright, playful eyes that puppies should have. They seemed to tell a story of pain and neglect, a story that no creature should ever have to tell. His gaze was empty, as if he had given up hope. He was so weak he could barely lift his head. Each breath he took was labored, and his tiny body seemed to struggle with the simple act of breathing. It was clear that he was on the brink of giving up, his strength nearly depleted. My heart ached for him. The thought of this innocent creature enduring such suffering was unbearable. I couldn't stand the idea of him being alone and in pain any longer. I knew I had to do something, anything to help him. He was so vulnerable and helpless. His small body was at the mercy of the elements and the parasites that plagued him. He needed someone to care for him, to show him that not all humans were cruel and indifferent. This poor creature was suffering. His whimpers were barely audible, but they spoke volumes about the pain he was in. It was a cry for help, a plea for someone to save him from the misery he was enduring. I knew I couldn't leave him there. The thought of walking away and leaving him to his fate was unthinkable. I had to act, and I had to act quickly. There was no time to waste. I gently scooped him into my arms. His body was so light, almost weightless, and I could feel every bone through his thin skin. He didn't resist. It was as if he knew that I was there to help him. He was lighter than I expected. The lack of nourishment had taken a severe toll on his body. It was a stark reminder of how long he had been suffering and how urgent it was to get him the help he needed. It was clear he hadn't eaten in days. His ribs were visible and his stomach was sunken in. The poor thing was starving, and it broke my heart to see him in such a state. I knew that getting him food and medical attention was the top priority. I had to get him help immediately. There was no time to lose. Every second counted, and I was determined to save this little life. I moved as quickly as I could, my mind racing with thoughts of what needed to be done. I rushed home, the puppy cradled safely in my arms. I could feel his tiny heart beating against my chest, a faint but steady rhythm that gave me hope. I whispered to him, promising that he would be safe now, that he would never have to suffer again. His warmth, even through the terrible infestation, gave me hope. It was a sign that there was still life in him, that he still had a fighting chance. I held on to that hope tightly, determined to do everything in my power to save him. I knew I was going to do everything I could to save him. This little puppy had already endured so much, and he deserved a chance at a better life. I was committed to being the one to give him that chance, no matter what it took. Back home, I immediately filled the bathtub with warm water. I gently placed the puppy in the water. He didn't resist. With a fine-toothed comb, I started the painstaking process of removing the ticks one by one. It was heartbreaking, but I knew I had to be strong for him. After what felt like hours, the last tick was gone. I wrapped him in a soft towel. He snuggled into me, finally free from the parasites. I prepared a warm bottle of puppy formula. He lapped it up eagerly, his tiny tail wagging feebly. He was a fighter. I named him Chance. He was a fighter, and he deserved a chance at a happy life. I made him a cozy bed in a quiet corner. Over the next few days, I showered Chance with love and care. I fed him regularly, kept him warm, and made sure he felt safe. Slowly but surely, Chance began to recover. His eyes regained their sparkle. He started to play with his toys. He was transforming before my eyes. His tail wagged constantly, a testament to his newfound joy. Chance was a completely different dog. He was happy, playful, and full of life. Section 5. A Second Chance. This is a story about hope, resilience, and the power of compassion. It's about a little puppy named Chance who, against all odds, found his way to a better life. Witnessing Chance's transformation was incredible. When he first arrived at the shelter, he was weak, scared, and in desperate need of care. The shelter staff worked tirelessly, providing him with the medical attention and love he needed to recover. Slowly but surely, Chance began to heal, both physically and emotionally. He went from a fragile, scared puppy to a playful, loving companion. His resilience inspired me. Watching him chase after a ball, wag his tail with joy, and snuggle up to his new family was nothing short of miraculous. It was a testament to the incredible impact that love and care can have on an animal's life. His story is a reminder that every animal deserves a second chance. Each pet that finds a loving home is a victory, a life saved from the brink of despair. These animals, once abandoned and forgotten, now thrive in environments filled with love and security. There are countless animals out there, abandoned and neglected, who need our help. They are often left to fend for themselves, facing hunger, illness, and loneliness. Their eyes tell stories of pain and longing, stories that are all too common in shelters around the world. It breaks my heart to think about all the animals suffering. Each one of them has a unique personality, a potential for joy and companionship that is waiting to be unlocked. They deserve so much more than the hand they've been dealt. We have a responsibility to help them, whether it's through volunteering at a local shelter, donating to animal rescue organizations, or simply spreading awareness about the plight of these animals. Every action counts. We can all play a part in making a difference. Even the smallest act of kindness can make a world of difference. A gentle touch, a warm meal, or a safe place to sleep can transform an animal's life. These gestures, though seemingly small, are monumental to those in need. Just like Chance, every animal deserves love, care, and a safe haven. They deserve to feel the warmth of a loving home, to play without fear, and to be cherished for who they are. The joy they bring to our lives is immeasurable, and the bond we share with them is irreplaceable. It's our duty to be their voice and to fight for their well-being. By advocating for animal rights, supporting rescue efforts, and fostering a culture of compassion, we can create a world where every animal has the chance to live a happy, healthy life. Together, we can make a difference, one life at a time. Section 6. The Power of Kindness. Chance's story is a testament to the power of kindness. It's a reminder that one person can make a difference in the life of an animal. Never underestimate the impact you can have. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, matters. You have the power to change a life. Whether it's fostering, adopting, volunteering, or donating, there are countless ways to get involved. Find what speaks to your heart and take action. Animals can't speak for themselves. We need to be their voice. We need to be their advocates. We need to be their hope. Section 7. Spreading the love. Chance's story touched my heart deeply. It reminded me of the importance of compassion and the power of second chances. I share his story to inspire you to open your hearts and homes to animals in need. There are countless animals waiting for their forever families. Let's spread the word about animal rescue and encourage others to make a difference. Together, we can create a world where every animal is loved and cherished. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Let's be the voice for the voiceless. Let's make a difference, one animal at a time. Section 8. Join the movement. Join me in this movement of compassion. Let's create a world where every animal is treated with kindness and respect. Let's support our local shelters and rescue organizations. Let's educate others about the importance of animal welfare. Together we can make a difference. Let's be the generation that ends animal cruelty and neglect. Let's be the generation that creates a brighter future for all animals.